Hi, it's Bill Palm again, and this is clip number 7 in the Seagulls and Surf at Sunset Bay, Oregon demonstration of transparent watercolor. This is a review of the techniques. I thought it might be good to review them and maybe remember to include a little more instruction in them in this review than I did while painting in the heat of battle. Up here, we start with the sky. Remember back when we did the sky? I'm wetting the paper. How much your paint spreads when you do wet and wet, that is, you wet your paper and then you paint wet on top of it, depends upon how wet the surface is, how much the water has soaked in, and how thin your paint is. So we'll come in here first and let it. I'm going to hurry up the process here by taking a little water out. This is thin color. Notice what happens here. There's our thin color for our sky. Letting that set for a second. We come in with thicker color now. I'm over here in my palette, picking up the thicker color that I have on the right, coming back down here so you can see it. Getting a variation in value for some clouds. Okay, moving down a little bit now. Remember the cliffs. Start with one color, say some burnt sienna here, forming cliffs at the top and the bottom. I rinse my brush, keeping it nice and clean. Pick up some yellow, and not enough, that's for sure. Red, painting into a little bit into the color that I already put down. Making that nice and vivid like I should have at the beginning there. I make my brush follow the contours of the cliff area. In watercolor we call this making the brush say the form. So I get a start on the texture of that cliff area there. Dropping down and picking up a little blue, dropping some blue in there for some variety. Color variety. When that dries, it'll be nice and pretty. I try to vary the spacing between my strokes so there's variety in everything, in the color, spacing, the size of the strokes, and all of that. Now moving down quickly to the next item on our agenda here. I painted some sand, actually in 2 strokes, but I'm going to do it just in 1 stroke here, just to get the illustration done for you. So once we do this, we let it sink in a little bit, like this, approximately. I rinse out my brush to get some vertical light reflections in there, which is a key way, a really good way, to show reflections on a wet surface, and in this case will be the sand. Now I wait till it's sunk in a little bit, and it's working really fast here. If you're in a more humid climate, it's going to take a little longer. I rinsed out my brush, squeezed out till it was almost just damp. There's hardly any water in it at all. Then I pull some reflections down perfectly vertical. We want to vary the space between these and the size. And I need to clean my brush and squeeze it out one more time. The paper is drying so fast I can almost not pull this off. Yeah, maybe one over here for good measure. Didn't clean my brush like I should have there. Get some water, clean area there like that. Now when it's dry I can glaze it over if these are too prominent, but you can see how I get my reflections in there. Now let's go over the computer, get my notes here. We're going to do the sea next. And I painted my sea. I started in the distance. I'll see, let's get it up a little bit. There we go. Coming across like this, going horizontal strokes because the water. Missing little strips of white, trying to vary their location and size to indicate some caps, foam caps on the top of waves. Then coming in as we get near with darker color, again doing this. Then as we get down to the bottom, let's say I'm reaching the top of the crashing foam here. So I use the side of my brush and I form the top of that foam by just scrubbing along like that, making sure I got it looking pretty good. This is cheaper paper, so it's not going to be as pretty as when I did it. And then you'll have the bottom of this crashing surf area approximately like that. And later on I'll put shadows in here like that. So I'm negative painting, meaning I'm painting the foam without painting the foam, painting around it, outlining it with darker value, which is easy since it's white paper, and showing the top of it by doing that way. I would also try to vary the value as I come washing down very quickly. Then, after this is dry, and we're just going to make sure it gets dry here very quickly, I will come in, and this is the next one, doing the shadows on the foam, getting a little relatively light to medium color coming along here. I can do this in several stages if I want to put a little detail in these in the shadows on the foam area. Doing it very quickly. When I came back into it, it's drying way too fast on me, but when I came back into it, I had my brush with water once again. I rinsed it out, and after I put the color on, after I scrubbed it on, I rinsed it off and then squeezed out most of the, well, 1/2 to 2/3 of the water, and then just went into the top of it a little bit like that, see, to give me an effect of shadows. Now, if it's too much, I can just blot here and there and get a better effect like that. Then when I want to do the foam next, remember we want to get these to be elliptical. Need a little more water, a little more flow. Elliptical means I'm having to operate at an angle, so my accuracy is not real great. My camera is in my way. I can blot these, get some holes in the foam area here, like that. And while they're still wet, get another brush for a little smaller treatment. Come in with a little darker color and spots to give a little variety of texture, like that. And maybe soften some more edges here and there. Then if it gets too messy, I can just blot it up a little bit. And there is the foam, and we're at almost 9 minutes, so we just about made it. So the main thing is watch what you're doing, and while the paint is still wet, if you need to make modifications, do them then. That's the best time you can do them. You can also come in after it's dry. So the best way to paint is to paint it while it's wet, really wet, or dry, really dry, and not too often in between, or you may be inviting disaster. Okay, I hope this summary helps. Check on my blog, www.billpalm.watercolor, BILLPOLM, watercolor, one word, at WordPress, the WordPress blog, for all of the things I just said written up for you to refer to. I hope this helped, and hope to see you again, or at least have you see me again. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye for now.